Hey everybody, Matt Barton here with this week's Broker Minute or Two. I hope your week's going well. I hope the springtime is starting to shape up for your business, and have something obviously to share with you today. I get this question fairly regularly, sometimes from my office managers, but it's usually at the request of an agent. And the question is regarding, hey, so what happens if my buyer broker agreement expires while I'm under contract, right? And most agents are familiar with this part because it's called out fairly clearly. Let me zoom in just a little bit. Right, the title of the section is the duration of the agreement. So you think it would all be contained here, right? Spoiler alert, is not. But then here's what it initially says: buyer hereby retains the company and the buyer's agent to locate and negotiate for the acquisition of a property for the agreed upon duration of the time below, which of course is going to go here, right? And we typically put a hard stop date there. And it's gonna run out the clock on that, or upon the closing of the acquisition of a property, whichever occurs first. And this will all be known collectively as the initial term. So this is where, sometimes we as agents, we get in a hurry, we read this part and we're like, well, I guess I need to extend my buyer broker agreement. Well, if you actually read further down in the document, under section 1.2, which is weird, right? Because its properties are locations. I don't exactly like the structure, but guess what? We don't get to write the forms. So this green section here, it says that the company and the buyer mutually agree that the initial term, remember that's the term we used up above, shall automatically extend until the under contract transaction closes or is canceled. And the second part is what I want to talk to you about. So, I guess we can take some level of comfort in that there is a provision in the buyer broker agreement that automatically extends if we're under contract prior to the initial term expiring. And it will extend until one of two conditions: either the deal closes or it's canceled. So let me give you a scenario. And so this is kind of a good, better, best scenario. It's good that the contract has that. It's even better that we know that it has it. But can you imagine a scenario? We've all dealt with a lot of different transactions, and a buyer and a seller, through, let's say, the due diligence period, they come to a little bit of an impasse, and you're coming up against the due diligence deadline, and the buyer sends over a contingent cancellation, 5 minutes before, which means the seller's not going to have time to respond, and therefore the deal's canceled. What do we know? Well, so does your agency cancels at that point. And so that's fine if the deal is over with, but quite often that contingent cancellation is just a step in getting some negotiation done, right? And we can reinstate the contract, which is cool. But guess what doesn't get reinstated automatically? Your agency. Your agency is terminated. And so, I've had this discussion with some of the office managers. The best practice is, if you feel like there's the remote possibility that there may be a scenario like that, and I know we don't have a crystal ball and we don't always know what's coming down the pike, but if you did an addendum, you're going under contract, a few days before your buyer broker expires. There's nothing wrong with doing a simple addendum saying the buyer broker shall extend, for 30 days or 2 weeks or whatever you want to put in there. That way, if there is that scenario where, as part of a negotiation, it's temporarily canceled and reinstated, your agency is still in play. So just something to be aware of. It's not a high probability thing, but it happens enough that you should be aware of it and how to best navigate it in advance, so you don't find yourselves working with a client without agency established. Make sense? Hopefully that helps. Hope you're having a great week. Those of you that are at R4, enjoy. I'm kind of jealous, but we will talk soon.